What is going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo. Hope your day is going good. We are here to talk about Destiny, Bungie's new, I don't really want to call it a game because it's more of like a way of life. They've basically committed to this project, idea, franchise for the next 10 years, and that's not just some airy-fairy mumbo-jumbo. That's a contractual thing with Activision that they are going to be focusing their brains powers on this thing, this world, this universe for the next decade, which definitely means it'll span console generations. It's already been revealed that Destiny will be releasing this year on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and then as well on the next-gen consoles. Of course, future iterations of the game or whatever they have planned over that decade will be exclusive to PlayStation 4 and the next Xbox, I'm sure. What we know so far has been revealed in a vid doc. There's a link to that video up top. If you've seen it, great. If you haven't, I'm airing it in the background of this video. Basically, I just want to give my thoughts on the game. You know, they released quite a bit of information, but most of it is a very ethereal. It's not very grounded. It's ideas and concepts with a little bit of focus. Now, I don't have any extra insider knowledge that you can't find on the internet, but I have read almost everything there is to read on Destiny, and I wanted to give you my concrete take and thoughts as someone who is very excited for this game, and as someone who has played tons and tons of games from every company, every console, everything. Now, the big fear is that Destiny ends up being a janky FPS MMO, and nobody wants that. And Bungie has already tried to assuage some of those fears by saying, hey, there's no subscriptions, don't call it an MMO, this is not just World of Warcraft with guns, this is not Firefall, this is not PlanetSide, don't worry about that. They're trying to basically get in your mind that this is a new kind of action game with a living, breathing world, and you will always be involved, the world will be ever evolving. And the red flag that's instantly thrown up is that they say that they don't even know what's going to happen. Things will happen, and you'll go to do one thing, and something else will happen. And for me, that's like, holy crap. Now, if I'm playing a game, normally I want the designers to be the ones dictating what I see and what I do, because I feel like they are better equipped to deliver an experience than I am to just go out and generate it myself, or to have some random generator or some group of friends / acquaintances dictate how I experience the game. But I have to imagine that Bungie is going to have a little bit more string pulling than they let on. I think there is going to be a lot more focused content than some of the naysayers may be imagining. This definitely is not World of Warcraft skinned with guns and Halo-esque aliens. I know that the art style is somewhat similar, that was to be expected, but I think it's pretty cool. Basically, there is this weird traveler, which is like a planet / ship / living thing that comes and brings all this greatness, all this wealth, the cornucopia of futuristic bliss, and then also basically makes humanity go crazy or lose out, or in some way humans are on the brink of extinction. And now there's all these strange forces coming and overtaking the universe, basically, of space zombies / Tuscan radar-looking people / I don't even know, but a lot of villains of different kinds across this globe. And you will be designing a character. It does have create your own character. They've announced a couple different classes, things of that nature. No real specifics, but given some concept art. And then you will go and investigate hub worlds, which are supposedly from the third person. The game is focally a first-person shooter with vehicles and loot, but supposedly in the hub worlds, it is third person. Again, this all sounds very scary. You think of Star Wars, The Old Republic, you think of Elder Scrolls Online, these games that are turning out to be disappointingly not what they advertise. And of course, that's always a possibility with Destiny. But my feeling is that Bungie has been a home run hitter for the last decade, and I have no reason to believe that they won't be a home run hitter for the next decade. Now, if you think about what people wanted when they first heard of a potential Elder Scrolls Online, what they wanted was, hey, let's take a world like Skyrim, expand it, and then have that game be persistent across everyone's play space. So it's not, oh, we do raids and then go and collect loot and talk on Ventrilo. It's Skyrim with real living people and many more hubs and worlds, and yet you're still partaking in that kind of gameplay. And I think that one thing that has been emphasized is that gameplay will be the focus here. So I'm not too worried about that part of it. I envision this much more in that vein. You know, if you take something like Fallout and imagine Fallout being converted to a quote MMO, but not how you think of MMOs, but what an MMO could be in the future with more powerful tech. You know, you envision a world where you're traveling from planet to planet a la Mass Effect, except it's more open-ended. And I don't think that Bungie's going to completely abandon their target demographic, which is the focused first-person shooter player. They're not going to say, oh, you have infinite choices, I will show you the world, I'm Aladdin, go and do whatever the heck you want, welcome to the MMO, screw you, our past fans for the last however many years. I think that this is going to basically end up being a combination of Halo and Mass Effect with a little bit of Bethesda-style gameplay in terms of the Fallout, Oblivion, exploration, different planets. You know, if you take Mass Effect as sort of a baseline example, and you look at the confines and the constraints that game had placed upon us, sure, you went to different planets, but it was a very hallway-driven in the sense that you weren't exploring around the planet looking for people to talk to. You weren't exploring around the planet. You know, they tried to put in the Mars rover type thing in the first game. They tried to put in, you know, resource collection, but there never was a feeling like, hey, I'm going to go to this planet and just check it out. It was always for a specific purpose. I think this game will have a healthy mix of specific purposes of planet to planet, as well as, hey, let's just go and explore and see what we stumble upon. Now, I am definitely of the mindset that a linear game will deliver ultimately a better experience than an open world game. I don't think that a linear game necessarily is more fun than an open world game, but I think ultimately a gaming experience is better communicated through a linear game. So I am a bit concerned about how they plan to pull it off. You know, there was some mention in certain interviews about this is a dungeon raid, and that throws up a red flag for me. But I'm hopeful that it will be controlled to an extent. Of course, you are going to be in this world. You can see the sunset. You can see the sunrise. You can group up with people. So the real kicker here is how they're able to balance their tried and true formula of great gameplay design with a much bigger scope. And they're talking a pretty big game, and I don't think that Bungie would be talking this game or spending this time or have the commitment of 10 years if they weren't pretty confident on it. And I don't think this is a cash-in. I don't think this is a, hey, MMOs are kind of dying out, so let's just evolve it and put guns in. I think that they're really trying to push the space. If you listen to the way they're talking about how they're integrating story as well as gameplay with this massive world that's evolving, it kind of just is the forward progress of gaming and kind of a game changer in the sense of eventually you want to get to a point where you're not playing Dead Space 1, Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. You're playing Dead Space 1 and you accomplish that main plot line, and then they release a new giant plot line, and not in the form of some, you know, off-the-wall DLC, but in the form of, hey, you know, this new threat just appeared in the universe and now we have to go tackle it. And here's where things start to get very interesting, because you can do things like that. You can basically throw in a sequel without having to make a new disc. And that, I think, is something that has never been done, never been explored appropriately. You know, there have been season passes, there have been DLC packs. They always feel secondary, they always feel tertiary. They always feel like, oh, they were just cut to make extra cash. I mean, some are good, don't get me wrong. Shivering Owls, there's some great ones for Fallout as well, but imagine you're playing this first-person shooter. You create your character. I don't know if it's going to have any decisions. They have not revealed much about your interactions with the world except for at gunpoint, so I'm not sure if there's going to be story choices, dialogue, things of that nature, but let's just assume that there is. And so you're traveling around, you know, you have your character, you're fighting these epic battles, there's some pretty cool things, you're able to co-op with your friends or not co-op with your friends. You know, there is some free-form exploration. You want to go just mess around the planet and maybe get a new cool gun or some new armor, but also there are some story-driven things, and you kind of take down this current threat that is challenging the traveler and challenging humanity. And so you feel like you're just about done with the game. And then, you know, a couple months down the road, they are committed to connection with mobile phones and stuff. So you get a message on your Destiny app or whatever that says there has been, you know, this huge outbreak of toxic something, you know, right, in this sector. And so people go and they go investigate it. And I don't know how instant this is going to be or anything like that. But let's just say that you go and all of a sudden these new enemies start appearing in the game. And you're like, where did these guys come from? And all of a sudden they open up this whole new plot stretch. Right, and I don't know how they're going to charge for this, or if it's going to be DLC gated, or if it's just going to be, hey, they find another way to microtransaction it, or they find a way to advertise it in it. But let's just say they open this new plot stretch where you basically are playing a new 3-hour campaign of taking down these aliens with your persistent character. And all of a sudden, you know, everything that we loved about Mass Effect is now being incorporated into a game that frankly will have better mechanics. Mass Effect was always chastised for not having the best or the most sound mechanics, great gameplay, great ideas, great conceptually, great visually in some aspects, great story in some aspects, but I feel like it never really delivered. But so let's say we take top-tier gameplay now, and we incorporate great story, we incorporate great vision, and now we have these branching campaigns, and that is where they really must nail it, because it cannot be, you can go and collect 10 skins from the rat people, or you can go and, you know, destroy this spaceship to save this portion. I don't want to play freaking MAG again from PlayStation 3 or some game where it's like, save the galaxy one sector at a time, and you're, you know, this metagame of putting things here and do blah. No, keep it linear, but also keep it open, and that's a fine balance. I don't know how they're planning on striking that, but I have great hope that if they do it right, it could be a huge, huge game changer. I think that this could be the game that a lot of people have yearned for quite a while. Again, you're combining potentially the most exciting aspects of Mass Effect, the parts where your decisions, your character, everything carries over from storyline to storyline. And it will require some mold breaking because people are conditioned to say, game ends, I expect a sequel. And I think there is a subconscious distaste for future content within the same game. It automatically assumes that it is secondary, it is not as good. And that's something that they will have to break through to say, hey, just because you've already bought the game and beaten what we have doesn't mean that what we're releasing now is any less. And I don't know how they will convince people of that. Because even for me, I play a game I really like. I'm never as invested in the DLC as I was in the main game because there's some closure to playing an experience and beating the game. And they're talking about, you will be as much of a participant in forming the ending as they are, which, leaves me a little worried. Like, what? There's no end game. It's just beat a boss and yay, clap your hands and get that purple. I don't like that at all. Again, I think the more that they stray from MMO and the closer they get to a hybrid Mass Effect Halo game, the absolute better. I mean, if you can picture, say we gave the GTA team Mass Effect, what would they do with that game? And you put in the mechanics designers from Halo, what would that game be? That's something special. And then I don't know how they're going to incorporate story. Halo franchise has gotten kind of convoluted, and it's always delivered basically right in front of your face. You're not choosing anything. You're not deciding, oh, should we take Cortana or not? You're being force-fed what is happening. And I don't know what their plans are here. I think that's going to be a big, big defining moment when they reveal if this story is something that is delivered through dialogue and choices, or if it's just strictly cutscenes and predetermined script. I don't know. But I do think that there is huge potential for this to be one of the greatest things that's ever happened to gaming. Of course, we've seen about 30 seconds or less of gameplay. What we've seen looks good. It looks very Halo-esque. And you know that they're going to be fighting back that nagging, constant thing of, oh, this just looks like the next Halo. You guys are making the next Halo. You lost the license, but here you go again. And I know that they don't want that. I know that they're going to try to really distance themselves from Halo and keep this as a larger entity. Obviously they would love to engulf Halo and overtake it as the premier spacey franchise. And a lot of people are kind of disappointed, hoping that, hey, maybe Bungie would do something completely crazy. I don't know, make a game about dinosaurs, or make a freaking, I don't know, a platformer with whatever. I don't know what people were hoping for, but I think that Bungie would be foolish to do that, because there's nothing wrong with innovating upon a pre-established great thing. And I can imagine motivation for them being, hey, we want to make a game that is better than Halo. If they go out and make a elephant platformer, I don't know how that will ever be comparable. Instead, they're going to say, hey, we're going to take this on and see, can we evolve this genre? And, shooters are going to be around no matter what. You're not going to get we're not making shooters. So I would rather them tackle the challenge of, can we make an evolution of an FPS, rather than just say, hey, we're going to try something completely different. Because somebody's got to do it. Somebody has to bring us past the point where it's duck and cover, fire against the enemies, and move to the next checkpoint. That will get old. That will die out. It's already proven to be not the most exciting thing time after time. I mean, I feel like the excitement for Gears of War Judgment is way down compared to Gears of War 3. Even the response to Dead Space 3, which I thought was a great game, was very much shaky. Comparatively, people are growing tired of doing the same thing over and over again. We have Call of Duty 502 releasing this year, and I'm sure it will sell gangbusters. But journalists and hardcore fans alike are not necessarily satisfied with same old, same old. So Bungie is attempting to break the mold and sort of twist your expectations a little bit. And I think the biggest challenge for them is, where do they tip the scale in terms of linearity versus openness? And you can have openness that still has direction, but if it's going to be openness with the freedom of an MMO, then count me out. I'll play it for a little bit, but I hate the feeling that I'm not going anywhere, and I also hate the feeling that there is no end in sight. I think that levels are something that have stuck with gaming since the very beginning, and there is a reason for it, because accomplishment and success is a great feeling. Everybody wants goals. Everybody wants a purpose to define their day, their week, their month, their school, their job, their efforts. And whether you think you don't or you think you do, subconsciously, I think humanity is sort of trained to seek out a purpose and achieve it. And no, I'm not saying everyone does that or everyone succeeds or everyone doesn't fall on their face, but to just aimlessly wander, World of Warcraft somehow captured that. Did not mean to say Warcraft. I mean to say Warcraft. I don't like the game, but I know that 11 million people do or whatever. Somehow they captured the notion that people just like to aimlessly wander. I don't think Bungie is targeting that audience. I don't think Bungie wants to make that game. I sure as heck hope they don't make that game, and we will find out. I'm sure more details will be revealed in the coming days and weeks as pre-orders open up. October 6th is the date I've heard. Could that coincide with the release of the next Xbox? I don't know. I was assuming a Microsoft exclusivity deal, but they are saying PlayStation 3 already, which leads me to believe that will not be the case. Could it be a next box exclusive and time delay on PlayStation 4? That's possible. But as of right now, you own a PS3, you own an Xbox 360, you will be able to play this game on launch day, which I think is pretty exciting. Not sure how it will transition from one to the other. We've got a Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess instance where I think you're going to see a lot of fall releases fall on both platforms. Not everyone's going to have $400, $500 to spend on a new system, and these companies can't afford to completely ignore the huge install base of PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 users. That's a discussion for another time, though. Console releases and how that will all be handled. Hope you guys enjoyed this talk here about Bungie's Destiny. Let me know in the comments below what you think, your opinions on the footage, your opinions on the game, how everything seems to gel in your mind, and what your hopes are as well. If you like this video, hit that like button, add to your favorites. I enjoy talking about stuff. I will happily talk more about Bungie's Destiny, considering a podcast as well, if that's something you guys are interested in. So let me know. Either way, though, guys and girls, hope you have a fantastic day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Drink some hot chocolate. Until next time, everybody, cross your fingers that Destiny is what we all hope it is. Until next time, we'll see you all later.